Melissa, it's been a pretty challenging market for buyers for a long time. And I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing a lot of sellers get a little lazy daxel when it comes to disclosing information, when it comes to doing certain things that they probably should be doing and shouldn't take for granted because it can be liabilities, right?
For sure. Yeah. I think today we're going to basically focus on seller missteps. And there's quite a few. Even though we're in a hot seller's market, Emilio, there's still a lot of things that sellers can do that can create ongoing liability that will survive the closing potentially. It can create a situation where the closing gets delayed or it just can't close at all. I think we should start at the beginning, right, Emilio? I mean, certainly even when you're looking at potentially listing a property, I'm sure there's certain things that you recommend to your clients as far as, preliminary repairs, staging efforts, things of that nature. Those are the first kind of minimal missteps, but it could impact the overall pricing of the property. So the disclosures were the next steps. So I was going to say one of the secondary things that you're probably talking to them about when you're staging their home and trying to declutter and things like that is you need to start working on these disclosures. Now, the disclosure documents are mandatory in the state of Rhode Island per statute that, unless you're excluded because of some fiduciary role or some limited capacity of information, like a trust or an estate or something of that nature, the sellers are responsible to give factual based information about the property to every buyer before they even make an offer on the property. That's what the Rhode Island state law prescribes. And it is 5 pages in length. It is a lot of dense information, and the seller has to answer it honestly and to the best of their abilities, anything they know or should have known. So it's not one of those things, Amelia, that you can just kind of pretend that you forgot or whatever, because that stuff is going to survive the closing. And that's really where the long-term liability issues could arise for a seller and create problems certainly throughout the course of the transaction. Additionally, if you've had insurance claims pending, that's one of the questions that would be raised in the body of the sales disclosures. If you've had all necessary permits pulled for any work or improvements that you've done in the property throughout the course of your years of ownership, those are areas that need to be identified and noted. Any areas where there's been, consistent problems or leaks, things of that nature. You need to bring these issues to the buyer's attention because later, and we can use an example, let's say the roof has been leaking, right? And the homeowner rather has gone through, they've made what they think are the necessary repairs, they fixed the interior of the premises, but now they don't disclose it. And the home inspector doesn't catch it, or maybe the buyer's waived inspections because it is such a busy market and buyers are waiving inspections a lot. Now, let's just say 6 months later, the roof starts leaking again. They bring in a contractor. It's Rhode Island, right? It's the same contractor that's worked on the roof. And the guy goes, I've been to this house. I fixed this roof like, I don't know, 2-3 times. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then a buyer calls their attorney and they go, well, what do I do? And we explain to them, well, you have a recourse of misrepresentation, because that's essentially what the seller has done, is misrepresented factual information about the home because they didn't give this information to you that they knew or should have known. And now as a result, you can pursue the seller for the repairs, maybe a brand new roof. And as a homeowner, that's not the kind of liability you want to be in.
No.
Give the information, let the buyers decide what they're going to do with that information, if anything, by the way. They may be in a position where they're, okay, fine, we'll have to replace the roof. But if you don't disclose it, then you are going to have a liability and an exposure, which again, could kill the closing if it's discovered during the course of the transaction, or would survive the closing if the issue arises after the fact.